welcome Solex Nation. We have such a fun announcement right now. Next week is Day of Discovery, but that's not the real announcement. I mean, that's really fun. The real announcement is there is no weekly update next Wednesday because our staff will be busily getting ready for Day of Discovery. So this is the last one for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so well, it's not fun that we won't be with you on Wednesday next week, but it will be fun for everybody that's coming to DoD to join that event. We're gonna have a great time. You know, next week, if you aren't able to come to the event, we've got like 200, almost 300 videos. Feel free to go back and watch your favorite one.
Plenty of entertainment out there.
Tons of entertainment, lots of bloopers, and incredible education from phenomenal people. Go back and enjoy those. And for all of you coming, you'll be en route to Utah, if you're not in Utah, and we are so excited to see you next week.
We can't wait. If you are still looking for a ticket, call customer support. There may be one or two left.
Okay, it's September.
It is September, which means we have a new incentive for enrollments.
And this incentive, speaking of DoD, at our very first Day of Discovery, we launched this product. It is the Ionix Gold. The gold, the fulvic acid with some humic acid in it, but mostly fulvic, mineral-based. It is enriching to the digestive system and so many parts of the body. This is a powerhouse. We don't talk enough about gold.
We really don't. But it's the minerals that you need that we're lacking in our everyday diet. So it is a fantastic supplement to take. We have a lot of champions of our Ionix Gold, and they want us to talk about it more. So now is a chance to talk about it more. And that is the new enrollment incentive for this month, September. Speaking of enrollment incentives, what about the Enroller?
Okay, so we're coming into the last month of the quarter.
Yes.
And so what that means is this is the last month to qualify for the sharing and enrolling 3 and 6. What does that mean? Well, if you bring 3 people to Solex during this quarter, and that's July, August, and September, you will earn a $100 product credit.
Yes.
Now there's some rules here. There are always rules, and I get to give the rules. They have to enroll with a bundle, and they have to enroll with a subscription, and that subscription has to successfully transact the following month, okay? So what does that mean? If you do that, we give you an additional $100 product credit paid out after all subscriptions have run. So that will pay out actually in November 10th commission run.
That's right.
You can use that on any product in the Solex store. Now, if you up the game here and go to 6 or more, you not only get the $100 product credit, but you also get a very hot item. It is the AO mask.
Yes.
It's not just a red light mask. This is not your mom's red light mask. This has green light, blue light, red light, and then the 2 near infrared lights in there that help with so many factors. There's a lot of information. I like to tell our customer service agents there's over 6,000 research papers on photobiomodulation, which this fits well within. You guys, last Day of Discovery, didn't they say that they wanted more red light and light therapy products?
When we asked you, what do you want to see at Day of Discovery in March, I want to say 75% of the comments were red light devices.
Red light devices, yeah, and this fits within that with so much more. It is by far the top echelon in the marketplace at a phenomenal price, but you can get it for free.
That's right.
By bringing 6 people
this quarter. All right, something that an oldie but a goodie that we are just bringing back, and it's a new and improved design. We have our negative ion insoles, new and back in black.
Yeah, they're back in black. That's great. I love that. They are, it's one size that can be trimmed to fit any foot. A lot of people, they use them as inserts in their shoes.
Yes.
It's the same thing with any of our other negative ion products where you can put them out in the daylight every couple of weeks and they get recharged. The negative ion activity recharges in this material because it has Cybin. And Cybin is a very special product, an ingredient, in fact, that Lauren contractually made us the recipients of. It's out of China, and we're the only company outside of China that can extract that and bring that outside of China. That is a phenomenal product. If you've ever studied negative ions, this should be in the well-rounded repertoire that you have, because it's also a grounding effect. You're walking on these, and that grounding effect throughout the day, they're charged, they're emitting negative ions, and you're getting the benefit from your feet up.
That's right. And you can wear them on either side. There's one side that's smooth, one side that is for reflexology. So whichever side is most comfortable for you. But you can get those black negative ion insoles now in the back office. It is September, and that means it is the start of a new incentive trip tracking.
Yeah, what is the trip? Well, you're going to have to come to DoD to find out what the next trip is, but it does begin now on September 1. Actually, August 31st ended the last trip opportunity for, if you were going for that, that's when the cutoff was. September 1 begins a new incentive to a new destination that we will go in 2027. Right? And so we'll be announcing the winners of the 2026 trip, as well as the details of where we're going and what are all the requirements. What's the one thing that I know that you can do in order to already make your way and
Because
earning?
you're saying right now, well, that's fantastic, but
What are the
are the
rules?
requirements?
Yeah. Let me just tell you to share and share with more people. That's always involved in the calculation of what you can do to get a free trip, to earn a free trip with Solex in 2027. It's going to be a great one. Pay attention to the details.
Yes, can't wait for that one. All right, we had a contest last week because we had Deb Bruce on, and she talked about the urinary system. So we asked you, what is something that you learned today about the urinary system that surprised you? And we're going to draw 3 names right now to give
Zymes,
AO
Zymes.
Zymes. I do not go without Zymes.
Yes.
Every meal, and I'm the Zymes dealer.
She's the dealer.
Yeah.
Like we go to lunch and she's like, all right, give me Zymes, let me break it. If you've been here to the corporate office, gone to lunch with us,
I give you Zymes.
she's giving you Zymes.
Conscious evolution, Tracy Hill. Deb is a wealth of knowledge and she never ceases to amaze me. I truly never gave the urinary system much thought, but its tie-in to the respiratory system piqued my interest.
Ooh, that's cool, right?
Yeah, I don't really know who does give the urinary system much thought unless you're having problems.
Yeah, usually, most systems.
Yeah.
All right, Cheryl Hamilton, I believe it is. Cheryl says, I love the connection between the urinary system and deep breathing. I find elderly people tend to breathe very shallow. They also tend to be dehydrated and don't want to get up to pee, so they don't want to drink the fluids, right? Because it causes you to go to the bathroom more. And then they're not breathing deep. It's a recipe for problems, so I was glad she shared about that. I love Zymes. Thanks for the chance to win, and thanks for helping educate us, Solex. Cheryl, you are getting Zymes, and that's true. I think a lot of us breathe shallow breaths.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you even know about the connection? You've worked really hard on deepening your
Deep breathing.
Yeah,
I do deep breathing exercises every day.
Did you know about that connection?
No, I did not.
Now you do.
That's
something that surprised you about the urinary system. All right, this is Shalom Shara. Let us know who you are. I learned about the urinary system, about how the urinary system is influenced by the neurological system. I wasn't aware of that. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, congratulations to the 3 of you. AO Zymes is coming your way. And now let's do the top enrollers from last week.
All right, this is for the week of August 25th through the 31st.
Yes.
Right to the end of the month.
Yep.
Right? And no ties in this one. In second place, so close, great job, Simone Marquez. You came in second place, well done.
Yes, and there's only 1 person difference between this.
Oh, really?
Yes. Our top enroller had 1 more person than our second place, and that top enroller goes to Paige Wheeler. Congratulations, Paige, just working. Listen, if you're like, what is Paige doing? Why is her name on this every single week? Paige is out there sharing. She never stops. She's always posting something on social media. She always has interesting content. She's always working and putting it out there. And that's
grinding
why.
is what I think.
Yeah,
I think she's
so
a
too.
grinder. She just goes after it all day long.
That's right. And so it's really paying off for her. She's been doing it for years, and we're starting to hear her name a lot in the last year. We've heard her name over the years, but a lot in the last year because it is just really paying off for her. So congratulations to you, Paige. You get another 6-pack of AO Scan sample passes. I'm excited for this call today. We are going to talk about quantum physics.
Yeah, that is a deep subject. Like even the very smartest people in society, these quantum physicists say they know that it exists, they can provide evidence of its existence, but it is very difficult to describe. So we love when somebody wants to take the time and at least give us some insight into those evidentiary pieces that point to its existence that we know is there, even though you can't tangibly go out there and just grab it and say, oh, this is quantum physics.
Well, I welcome any discussion about quantum physics, and we get to hear from a brilliant mind today. Please welcome LaChelle Wieme.
Hey everybody, I'm Dr. LaChelle Wieme, and as a formerly trained nurse anesthesiologist, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of my perspective on some quantum physics basics. Now, I want to give you some background of my story first so that you can have some context, okay? When my friend Janie introduced the AO scan technology to me, she did so from the perspective of the mindset shifts. You see, as a nurse anesthesiologist and professor, I also was starting my business as a mindset and a business coach. And I loved the fact that we could use this technology to address some subconscious limiting beliefs that we had through the inner voice scan, okay? But I had a block. You see, I felt like I had to be a quantum physicist to be able to share this technology. I also want to tell you a little bit of background because I think this is going to give you some inspiration that I still, after 5 years and a medical background, do not know how to read my own vital scores. So I'm just going to tell you that pick something that is really resonant to you, like the inner voice was to me, and go with it. But if you still are finding that I can't quite share because I feel like I need to know more, I hope that I can use my own exploration around these concepts to give you a little bit of background, something to share, something to maybe understand this a little bit better so that you can get out of your own sticking away like I had to and start to share this amazing technology, okay? So let's do some quantum physics basics. And I'm gonna also say that quantum physicists still do not understand quantum physics to its full extent. So you do not need to be a quantum physicist to share AO scan. But hopefully some of these practical tools and concepts are gonna help you to feel more confident. Okay, so let's start with what the heck quantum physics is to begin with, all right? Many of us remember from high school, maybe even college, taking physics courses. And physics is really just our way to predict the world, to be able to understand how something is going to behave from a predictable manner, right? So oftentimes we can associate that physics that we learned in school to Isaac Newton and his famous story about being bonked in the head with an apple and recognizing that the law of gravity is into effect in all places inside of this beautiful planet Earth that we're in. So every single physics rule that we learned are based upon the principles that Isaac Newton brought into physics, all right? So let's fast forward into the place and time that Albert Einstein joined the equation. See, Albert Einstein started to recognize that things behaved differently when they started to look at matter in the smallest unit that were there, the atom. You see, when things are put together in a bunch of atoms, the mass is going to behave differently, like what Isaac Newton found. But when they started to assess things from the atomic level, they were very unpredictable. And Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein recognized that things behaved much differently from the anatomic place than they do from a mass place. And so basically Albert Einstein taught us that atoms, at the very core of the basic unit of building blocks of all matter, don't behave the same predictable way, all right? Now, I want to talk to you about what this means for us in the AO scan. Everything is made up of atoms, everything. I'm talking from the clicker that I have in my hand to the hat that I have on my head to my body is made up of atoms. What are atoms? If you remember from 7th grade science class, they're really just tiny little nucleus and have electrons rotating around them. That's basically it. Now, I'm gonna just push you a little bit and challenge you to think about if I say everything is atoms. In theory, how does that actually apply to real life? So let me give you an example, all right? So here we are in the studio and the door is shut, but if somebody were to walk by and yell really loudly, we would be able to hear it inside of the studio. How is that possible? The doors are shut, the walls are solid. Sound waves are able to travel through solid things in order for us to be able to hear them. Same thing with the window that we see off to the left of me is allowing light through. The glass is solid. If I knocked on it, it would bang, but the light particles are able to pass through. Why? Because not everything is solid. It's really just the way that the atoms are packed together that give the illusion of solidness. Everything is made up of atoms, and everything, therefore, is made up of these tiny little nucleus with electrons rotating around it, always in motion. So everything that we see, whether it be myself, my hat, this clicker, are always made up of these tiny little electrons moving around and essentially energy, okay? Now, our thoughts are energy too. So as my medical background, I can get nerdy and geek out on this stuff. So if I were able to look at this video of what neurons or brain cells look like, they basically look like tiny little electronic signals passing from one to the other, and that's really what they are. And so when we think about it, our thoughts and the communication that we have going through our brains are electricity. How cool is that? We even measure things like our brain waves in patterns that recognize the waveforms of energy, right? So if I look at this like the gamma waves versus the delta waves, the energetic waveform that we're seeing here is just showing us the energetic frequency pattern. How we use it in medicine. Same with our heart. Our heart has an electrical impulse that goes from our SA node to our AV node, and it creates this ECG waveform. Everything is energy. And it's really cool, and we're gonna get into this in just a second, but the electrical impulses from my brain, my thoughts, and my heart are what create this beautiful electromagnetic, basically biofield around me. Now, I wanna point something out, that our energy, the frequency, can actually impact matter. So I want you to look at this, and what you're seeing here is salt on a plate, and what they've done is they've hooked it up to a device that creates different hertz or frequencies. And as they increase the hertz or the frequency, you'll see different patterns that start to emerge from the salt on these plates. Do you recognize anything from the AO scan? You see that our energy can actually impact matter. And that's what we're seeing by utilizing our devices to change matter inside of us. Now, the other cool thing that I want to point out is that our emotions can actually impact our frequency as well. I already mentioned that our thoughts are energy and our heart is energy, and we have all this energy from the atoms going everywhere inside of us, right? And our emotions can impact that. In fact, there have been decades of research done by the Heart Math Institute that have been able to demonstrate this. And recently, some really great research out of MIT has been able to prove that the state of the electricity in our body is impacted by our emotions. For example, if I were to use this scale of the emotional vibrational scale, you'll see that when I think thoughts and feel feelings that are associated with love and joy and peace and gratitude and freedom, my cells in my body actually vibrate faster. My frequency is higher. Versus when I think thoughts and have feelings that are associated with despair and shame and hopelessness, the cells in my body, because of the electrons in my body, are rotating slower. In fact, I didn't even try to do this, but when I just demonstrated this exact principle, I noticed that my voice got a little higher and a little bit faster when I was talking about the high emotions. But my voice got a little slower and lower when I talked about the ones in the lower end of the scale, because the vibration is slower. So fascinating. Now, because we can recognize that our thoughts and our feelings can impact our frequency, impact the way in which the electrons are moving, we've just demonstrated that energy and frequency can impact matter. I wanted to just point this out to you, that there is a famous research experiment that was done by Dr. Emoto, where he took water from several different sources and he did different things to be able to address the influence of consciousness and words and emotions on water molecules, okay? So what he did was he either wrote or they spoke words or they prayed over water molecules. And then after they did that, they froze the water molecules and they looked at those water molecules underneath a microscope. So crazy. This is the cool thing, is that when they used positive high frequency energy towards these water molecules, they actually saw under the microscope the frozen molecules conform to these beautiful organized patterns like you're seeing here with the thank you and love and gratitude. But when these same water molecules were exposed to things like you disgust me and hateful energy and those types of influences, the water molecules that were frozen actually looked very chaotic, disorganized, and not beautiful at all. You see, our energy and our thoughts and our feelings impact matter. They impact things around us. And if you think about it, our bodies are made up of 2/3 water. So if we're constantly thinking thoughts and saying things to ourselves that are not in alignment, no wonder we're getting caught up in these negative spirals of negative self-talk, right? And so this is where we get to use things like the AO scan to shift those energies to allow it to show up differently in form within our body. All right, so I hope that helped you to at least recognize what quantum physics is. It's literally just the difference between looking at an atom versus a whole bunch of atoms put together as a mass, all right? And noticing that they behave differently when they are in the atom form versus when they're conglomerated together, okay? So now let's look at how the heck the AO scan is able to do this, because I gotta tell you that I had a heck of a time as a researcher and as a professor to be able to tell people how the heck I can read their scans from no matter where they were in the world, and I can deliver things, and how the heck does that work? And I needed to feel like I understood it enough to buy into it myself. And you do not have to be able to explain this to anyone. But if you can watch this video and you can start to trust that, oh my gosh, like this actually works and here's a little bit of science behind it, now all of a sudden you're gonna feel confident and feel comfortable. You don't have to be an expert. You just have to believe it yourself, okay? So the AO scan uses your biofield, scalar waves, and resonance energy to read and deliver energy. So what does that mean? Let's start first with your biofield. As I mentioned before, our brain and our electrons that are moving around and the neurotransmission that's going on inside of our brains is creating this energy field, as is our heart. And the two of them working together and all the cells that are vibrating constantly have created essentially this beautiful field around us. And it takes into account things like our physical state, our emotions, our thoughts, even subconscious thoughts that we're not even aware of have impacted into this, okay? And I want you to think about this like a cell phone. My cell phone can receive and give data without being plugged into anything. Crazy, right? So I can hook into the Wi-Fi, I can hook into the Bluetooth, I can hook into the network to make a cell phone call. I don't see anything, but I know that it works. It's happening because my phone is giving and receiving information. My biofield is doing the exact same thing. My biofield is constantly reading what's going on inside of me, inside of my heart, inside of my head, and what I've eaten, who I'm around, what thoughts and emotions I have, and it's basically creating this field around me. And that field is going to be able to give and receive information. Have you ever walked into a room and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know, something's off in here, I need to get the heck out? Or have you ever walked into a room and you're like, oh my gosh, like I feel home? Or you meet somebody and you're just like, this is just, I can't, I'm drawn to them, I can't wait to talk to them. It's because you're picking up on their biofield. And so I want you to recognize that there is a piece around us that's constantly giving and receiving information. And that is what the AO scan taps into, is the recipient's biofield, okay? And it's being able to read and then give back to it just like a cell phone does. Now, every cell in your body has a baseline frequency when healthy. They've been testing this and adding to the database for decades now. So they know that the human pancreas cell vibrates at such and such a hertz, knowing that the electrons are rotating at such and such a speed, right? And that when that cell or that organ system or that blood is in harmonics or in balance, it's supposed to vibrate at such and such a frequency. And all those things are going to impact our biofield, but that's what the AO scan is picking up on. It's looking at the cells and the atoms inside of your body and comparing it to what it knows is at baseline, at rest, is true, is in balance, okay? Now, the other thing that the AO scan does is it taps into scalar waves. All right, so what the heck is that? Many of you guys are probably too young to remember this, but when I was a kid, I listened to Casey Kasem's Top 40 Countdown. So I'm in my little bedroom in my small town in Minnesota, and I'm listening to him on air in LA. How in the heck was I able to tape his show and my mixtape and my boombox in my room all the way from California to Minnesota? Through the airwaves, right? That makes sense. And so many of us are familiar with different waves that we're exposed to all the time. In fact, I'm standing here right now healing from a broken foot, and I had to have an x-ray to be able to diagnose that. And so x-rays, microwaves, electromagnetic waves, radio waves, all of these are waves that we're familiar with. But the thing is about these types of waves is that they are impacted by walls, they're impacted by distance. So for example, When I'm at the hospital and we are getting an x-ray of a patient, I can stand behind a lead wall and I'm protected from those x-rays, okay? I also recognize that if I'm driving on the highway and I'm listening to a really great radio station and then all of a sudden it gets fuzzy and it's gone because distance impacts these types of waves. The difference between these waves and what the AO scan uses is called a scalar wave. Now, a scalar wave is not impacted by distance, it's not impacted by walls. It is literally able to maintain its integrity no matter where you are or how far you are in the world. And that's what makes this special. This is how I'm able to read scans from somebody that's across the world, because it's tapping into not the normal waves that we're used to, but scalar waves. I wanted to dive into next what resonance energy is, okay? First off, we have to acknowledge entanglement. So entanglement, I hope you're seeing this video right now of noticing that there are a bunch of electrons that are all rotating around a different nucleus here, and they're dancing, they're entangling with each other, okay? What happens with entanglement is that your body, your biofield, the cells, the atoms, the electron entanglement are actually not limited by space and time. That means that if you have an association with someone across the world, it doesn't matter if you're right next to them or if they're across the world. If you have an association with them, you have the ability for your electrons to entangle in real time with theirs. This is why we put somebody's voice or their picture or their data to enroll them into the scanner, because what that's doing is it's creating a set data point in which to now entangle with the scanner to be able to exchange those energy exchanges. It's so cool, isn't it? And so what I want you to acknowledge here with entanglement is that it doesn't matter where you are. In fact, Albert Einstein called this spooky science from a distance because he couldn't explain it. He's like, why is it that something can be transmitted faster than the speed of light? It's because once you have an association with someone, it doesn't matter the distance, they're automatically starting to entangle. Now, I want you to think about this almost in terms of like prayer. So if I say a prayer to somebody, I know that that is getting to them. It doesn't matter where they are in the world because of entanglement. I set the intention with them as a recipient, and I allow for entanglement in quantum physics to do its job.
The sound waves from this tuning fork will cause this box to vibrate. When that box vibrates, it makes the tuning fork vibrate. So when I do this, I'm going to hit this tuning fork, but you can still hear it vibrating. A lot of times people think it's the original tuning fork still making noise, but it's the other one.
All right, so resonance energy is really how the AO scan is able to exchange information from the actual scanner to the biofield of the recipient. So I want you to think about it like this. Entanglement allows for essentially an uninterrupted phone line that can go from the scanner to the recipient. And it is not going to be impacted by distance, it's not going to be impacted by time, it's like a secure line that nothing can fix or nothing can break, okay? So if you think about it like that, that's the line, the entanglement. We've set them as our data point and it's allowing that relationship to happen, okay? Now resonance energy is like the conversation. The resonance energy is taking what the data points that the scanner has and all of the information from the algorithms and the databases from what our neutral energetic frequency should be, okay? And it's basically saying, this is off base, and it's then taking that reading from the person's biofield and saying, okay, this is different than what my baseline is. And now I'm gonna use resonance energy, just like in this video, to essentially tune it in to something different. And it's doing that from our scanner to the client through their biofield and resonance energy. It's taking what I want it to be and influencing it to their body. And now how it does that, again, is through the secure line from entanglement and the scalar waves that go back and forth. So I want you to think about this, okay? So I have a phone call, I'm securing that to the other person, and I'm having that conversation going back and forth between reading what that biofield is and then sending back what it needs. Just like my phone sends and receives information, your biofield is doing the same through resonance energy with the help of entanglement so that you don't have to be next to somebody. Now, I hope that this helped a little bit because I know that so many of us can get blocked by talking about the AO scan. We feel like we have to be a quantum physicist. We have to understand everything. Friends, you do not have to know everything. I needed to go on this rabbit hole probably just so that I could be here to help you, okay? But what I want you to reinforce here is that you just have to believe that it works, and that I want you to know that as somebody who's a scientist, as a researcher, as a former professor, I needed to understand that this wasn't just something that sounded good. I wanted to know how it worked and why it worked. And I'm hoping that today, if anything, this just gives you a little bit of background so that you feel more confident knowing that, hey, I don't know how it works, but I know it works because I have smart people that have figured that out for me, okay? But if this is helpful for you, or if you feel like, oh my gosh, I have somebody in my circle that does actually need to understand how this works, send them this video so that it's something that they can use to say, okay, I get it. I don't have to be a quantum physicist. You don't have to be a quantum physicist, but we can recognize that we have testimonies over and over again to prove that this is exactly how this is working. So I hope that this helped. And just remember, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to know everything. You just have to believe in helping people. And I hope that this helped you.
We love hearing from LaChelle, and we're going to hear more actually. If you're coming to Day of Discovery, you're going to learn a little bit more from her as she takes the stage and teaches us some more depths of expertise in other areas. She's so brilliant.
I really look forward to it. All right, we want to have you win something next week, so we're going to ask you a question. And
Contest time.
Yeah, it's contest time. So what we want to know is, and don't put this, if you're watching this in the live premiere, don't put it in the live chat. Wait until it's over. Put it on our YouTube channel underneath the video. But we want to know, how would you explain AO scan in one sentence?
That's a tough one.
One sentence.
So like set it up and then give us the one-liner. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And what are we gonna give away?
We're gonna draw 3 names next week, and we're gonna give you a 6-pack of AO Scan passes so you can share AO Scan with 6 people.
Love that. That's great.
Okay,
All right.
everyone, we will not see you next week unless
2
you're
weeks.
at Day of Discovery. If not, we'll see you in 2 weeks. See you. Now in the back office. Something else that is,
Sorry.
that was cute.
I didn't know if I was supposed to start that.
Start of a new incentive trip tracking system.
My gosh, I should not have said any of that.
Why?
Because it was a disaster.
It was so
I'm a boop, 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 boop.
I didn't think
There
so.
you go.
Did you think so? See you.